This podcast is brought to you by Extreme Media.
Extreme Media?
Just press play.
Almost 1 in 3 adults in Ireland couldn't go a full hour without internet, according to a new survey, with 40% of adults saying they would turn down €5 million if it meant they could never use the internet again. It's time for another episode of All Things Techie Podcast, episode 122.
Here's the show that loves to talk about gadgets and gizmos, from A-Logic to Yamaha, cameras to control panels. You get what I mean. We love talking all things techie. In fact, that's the name of the show. And here is your host, Justin Dawson.
Hello everyone, welcome along to the All Things Techie Podcast. My name is Justin Dawson, with loads of different angles coming to you across all your podcast networks and available also on YouTube, youtube.com/Sir Justin Dawson. I've changed all my handles to Sir Justin Dawson. You can find me on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and also on the official All Things Techie website, which is on your screen right now if you're watching on YouTube. You can follow me on social, Sir Justin Dawson, and the website www.allthingstech.ie. How are you all doing? I hope you're doing well and everything's going well for you as well. Do you like my new camera angles that I'm doing here? So here we have the overhead shot where you can see how I'm doing my podcast. We have the main screen here. We have a couple of different angles here going on. Hopefully you're watching on YouTube as well, or viewing us on LinkedIn as well. And then I have the shot where you can see that I do what's on the browser, and then a little get your advert displayed here with contact allthingstech.ie for the All Things Techie Podcast. We have the overhead and the live shot. I've been playing around with, I've been redesigning the studio, listeners, and I actually quite like this new layout as well. And then of course I can do something really funky as well, and this is the new Insta 360 Go camera that's in the studio as well. I hope you like that angle as well. So yes, get into contact with the program, www.allthingstech.ie. Now, this week, did you like that survey, by the way? The Connected Live study by Pure Telecom in Ireland was conducted by Census Wide, surveying 1,000 adults in Ireland, and looked how the internet has become critical to facilitating meaningful and lasting human connections. So we can't survive, a lot of us can't survive an hour without the internet. What would we do?
Nobody is killing anybody. We're on the same side.
Oh no, we're far from that.
The internet is down. All the landlines are dead, there's no cell phone signal, and none of us have found a door to get out of here. And there's fucking creatures trying to kill us. So I'd say you, me, and him, we're on the same side.
Well, here we go. What's happening in the world of tech? A plane carrying Ursula von der Leyen this week was forced to land with paper maps after suspected Russian GPS jamming. A plane carrying the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, was hit by GPS jamming when it was ready to land in Bulgaria on Sunday. The EU has accused Russia of being behind the incident. Media reports said that the aircraft pilots were forced to revert to paper maps to land the aircraft. European Commission spokeswoman Andrea Podesa told the press conference in Brussels during the week that the aircraft landed safely. We can indeed confirm that there was GPS jamming, but the plane landed safely in Bulgaria. We have received information from the Bulgarian authorities that they suspect that this was due to blatant interference by Russia, she said. GPS jamming has been a major issue near Kaliningrad, which is a Russian city enclave which is sandwiched between the border of Poland and Lithuania. Grant Shapps, a British politician, was targeted in such an attack in 2024. This is the first of reports of it happening further south and further away from Russia in Bulgaria. The Bulgarian government confirmed the incident also in a statement. During the flight carrying European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, the satellite signal transmitting information to the plane's GPS navigation system was neutralised. To ensure the flight safety, the air control services immediately offered an alternative landing method using terrestrial navigation tools, it said. You can view this episode and all 121 previous episodes of the All Things Techie podcast. I was trying to think of my words there as well. Do you like my new angles? I do like my new angles of this podcast as well. So get in contact. You can also find us on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn at Sir Justin Dawson. Sir Justin Dawson, and all previous episodes of the All Things Techie podcast is available on our website, www.allthingstech.ie. Now, I was actually at a drone show during the week. The drone art show took place in Leopardstown Racecourse. Arrived early, hoping that I would see the tech behind the actual drone air show, but it was right down the field on the race course. The show took off at about 9 p.m, just shortly after a slight technical difficulties, but they did get the show on the road after.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hi. Welcome to Drone Art Dublin. It's a unique experience where classical music meets technology in the sky. This show is made possible thanks to the collaboration between Fever and Nova Sky Stories, who have joined forces to bring this innovative artistic proposal to Dublin. We are Gillian, David, Camilla, and Aaron. Seasons is a collection of instrumental music that was revolutionary in how it told a story. While originally accompanied by a series of sonnets, tonight we will visualize it using drones. During our first piece, Spring, listen for the sounds of birds and murmuring streams, thunderstorms, leaves rustling, and the festive sounds of rustic bagpipes, nymphs and shepherds dancing. After spring's three movements, we'll move to summer, in which we'll feel the burning sun, scorched pines, and a storm unleashing its wrath. While the drones are charging between sets, we invite you to close your eyes and see what images your mind conjures on its own. We're truly happy and grateful to have you here. So, without further ado, we invite you to relax and let the music carry you.
And it was fantastic. Now, it seemed that it was done to some music as well. It seemed that every second time the drones went back to recharge was more spectacular, because it seemed like they used a small set of drones for one bit of a show and then a larger amount of drones for every second flight, for better words. But absolutely fantastic show. It went on for about an hour. If you're watching on YouTube, you're going to see a couple of different flights in which they did some shapes. Like, the end was completely mesmerizing with their flights, and with just I didn't know was the drones flying upside down at some stages. Then they did swans. They did the seasons, like from summer to autumn. Fantastic show, well worthwhile, and thanks to the guys for organising that as well. And you can see some clips if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, I always recommend that you check out our YouTube videos as well of the podcast, because sometimes we talk a lot about tech, and you can find all the episodes of the All Things Techie podcast on the official website, www.allthingstechie.ie. allthingstech.ie. Look, it's even broken up into different areas, from episodes 111 to 120, episodes 100 to 110. You can see the video episodes. You can see the events that we've covered. IBC 2025, that's coming up now in a week's or so's time. We have all the coverage from Infocom 2025 and then ISE this year, and even previous years, Infocom 2024 and the Drone Summit in Dublin, and of course AES in 2019, just some of the events. And the IBC coverage is going to be sponsored, the All Things Techie Podcast, by PTZ Optics as well. So we're going to have loads of coverage of the All Things Techie Podcast at IBC on the 11th to, well, it starts on the 12th. I'll be flying out on the 11th, September the 11th. So from 11th to the 14th, I will be over in Amsterdam for the International Broadcasting Convention, IBC 2025. Royal Mail has announced the biggest design change in 175 years to its iconic red post boxes. The Postal Service is rolling out 3,500 solar-powered post boxes of the future, they call it, following a successful pilot earlier this year. The design will feature a barcode scanner which will open a drop-down drawer for parcels. Customers will be able to send and return labelled parcels up to the size of a shoebox thanks to the new design. There will also be separate slot for posting letters. Customers can request proof of posting and track that post using their app. Spotify Technology will start rolling out a messaging feature to both free and premium subscription tiers as the music streaming giant seeks to attract more users and fend off competition. We had this feature on MySpace. It was ages ago on social media. The music streamer, which had 696 million monthly active users in the second quarter, is investing in new features as it targets 1 billion, according to a Financial Times report on Sunday. It has been expanding its video content library, including a partner program that offers monetization options for podcast creators. You can get in contact with the All Things Techie podcast by visiting www.allthingstech.ie. This is episode 122 of the podcast, and all previous episodes on allthingstech.ie. You can find us on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn and Instagram. Sir Justin Dawson. A second company in Ireland and especially in Dublin, is to deploy cameras in their bin lorries to check if people are putting their waste in the correct bins. Greyhound follows Panda in rolling out a cleaner bin imaging system technology, which has seen householders receive photographs of their bin contents, pointing out what they have done wrong. Now, I have had this in the past, listeners, and viewers, where I have put all the contents of recycling into a black plastic bag, a recyclable black plastic bag. But because they can't see inside the black plastic bag, they will take a photo of inside your bin. Right. Work with me here, viewers, because what I say about that is, surely that has a problem with data protection, and someone actually pointed this out, that data protection could be an issue with what they're doing.
Oh, garbage cans got fancy. What other colors can you get?
The Irish Waste Management Association said other companies are watching how the system performs for these firms, the country's biggest, with a view to adopting it in the future. Some privacy concerns have been raised, but Panda, which trialled out the system with 52,000 customers, says fewer than 0.05% of them raised an issue of any kind. We're working through each one of those, the company said. The move has explained a measure to advise and remind householders of the need to properly sort their bins. However, some customers took to social media to express their disquiet at the idea of their bin contents being spied upon. Sinn Féin TD and Environment spokesperson Par Daly picked up on the unease, saying it raised privacy concerns and reinforced his belief that a waste industry regulator was needed. While technological innovations can be welcome, they must be subject to scrutiny and oversight, particularly when the hands of private companies are motivated by profit, he said. Capturing images that potentially contain personal data should not happen without proper regulation. And in the waste collection sector, there is none. Now, I tend to agree on this. You could have ripped up an important bank statement, a confidential letter, ripped it up a couple of times, throw it in the recycle bin. They are then taking photos of inside your bin. Now, where is those photos being stored? Question mark. I don't know. Answers on a postcard, please. Where are these photos being stored? I actually don't know. Get in contact. And waste companies say the new system complies with privacy protection regulations, as do their existing practices. Spokesman for the IWMA, Conor Walsh, said, currently, if you put papers with personal information in a recycle bin, they're going to end up being sorted in a depot, so that's something the companies already deal with. They're already subject to GDPR, or the General Data Protection Regulations, and the same as the company handling the personal data. They all have the necessary training and safeguards in place. It is an issue the companies are keen to provide reassurance around, however, and they stress that the photographs are taken at a low resolution. Now, I do remember when I did get one of these letters in the post saying that you're not sorting your bins properly. And I think that at the time they threatened that if you don't sort your bins properly, we don't collect your bins. Now, they can't fine you because they're not a fining company. And they're emailed in the same format. These images are low res from the start of the privacy reasons to avoid capturing any unnecessary or sensitive details, Panda Bin said. They are still enable our team to see whether the material is being incorrectly placed within a bin. Graham did reply to queries directly, but has uploaded a section to its website explaining the system. So Graham says, cameras only capture the inside of the truck hopper. So when you actually dump in the bins, I guess, never your home, garden, or surroundings. Images that are stored are low resolution and reviewed by trained staff only. Photos are stored securely and deleted after a short period of 30 days or less. This system is designed to support better bin habits, not to monitor individuals. Another question raised is whether the system could lead to penalties for those whose habits are not deemed to have been sufficiently improved. We are not an enforcement authority, says the bin company, so we can't impose fines, Mr. Walsh said. If we show you items in general waste bin that should be in your recycle bin, that will actually save you money because the general waste bins cost more. There may be a situation when someone is repeatedly contaminating their recycling bin with the likes of food waste or dirty nappies. That's going to contaminate the recycling of everyone on the street and undo all the good work. Where the camera picks up as a persistent problem, the customer doesn't respond, it may be necessary to remove their recycling bin and leave them with no choice but to use more expensive general waste bin for everything. That's what they say. Now, it is question marks of like how low the data resolution is. Here's another question to you listeners. Do you actually wash out your bottles and your jars and everything when you put them into a recycle bin? I hand up and say, no, I don't. Because I believe, and I've never toured a recycle bin company. If I have to, if they invite the All Things Techie podcast to a recycling depot, I might actually do it. It's in North County Dublin. It's only up the road from me. But my thought is, like, they go through big washers to wash out any dirt in any of these glass or jars or plastic things. So therefore, you know, are we not taking away someone's job? That is, or a machine that's doing it.
As to our legal team, we have data protection requirements, you understand.
Get in contact with the program, allthingstech.ie. for All Things Techie if you're watching the program, or you want to fill out the form there and contact the program. We're also on all the social networks, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn and Instagram, Sir Justin Dawson, if you'd like to get in contact with the program. Google has warned Gmail users that a notorious group of hackers is targeting account holders after gaining access to a massive database. The attacks stem from a breach of Salesforce cloud platform that exposed users of Google services to further intrusions. With around 2.5 billion people using Gmail and Google Cloud, users have been advised to be on high alert to suspicious activity and to take appropriate security action to better protect themselves. Google's threat intelligence groups first warned that the attacks in June, revealing that threat actors were targeting people through social engineering attacks that involved impersonating IT support staff. In August, Google confirmed that there had been a number of successful intrusions as a result of compromised passwords. The data breach exposed information that was basic and largely publicly available business information, but that has been used to conduct more serious attacks. We believe threat actors using Shiny Hunter's brand may be preparing to escalate their extortion tactics by launching a data leak site, DLS. Blog post by Google Threat Intelligence Group noted. These tactics are likely intended to increase pressure on victims, including those associated with the recent UNC 6040 Salesforce-related data breaches. The method of impersonating IT support personnel via telephone calls has proven particularly effective in tricking employees, according to Google, with victims coming from English-speaking branches of multinational corporations. Google said it has notified all users impacted of the incident via an email on the 8th of August. Shiny Hunters, which appears to take its name from the Pokemon franchise, first formed in 2020 and has been linked to several high-profile data breaches. Victims have included AT&T, Wireless, Microsoft, Santander and Ticketmaster. Google advises users to regularly update their passwords and to use extra security measures like two-factor authentication. This is the All Things Techie Podcast. My name is Justin Dawson, and if you'd like to get in contact with the program, all the details on our official website, www.allthingstech.ie. You can find me on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn as well if you want to get in contact over any of the social media networks. Sir Justin Dawson is where you find me across all the social networks, and also my official personal site is sirjustindawson.com. You can find me. TikTok is giving new ways to interact with others via direct messages or DMs, the company told press on Fridays. Users will be able to now send voice notes and share up to 9 images or videos in one-to-one and group chats on their platform. With these new features, TikTok is positioning itself to be not just an entertainment platform, aiming to become a place where users interact regularly beyond simply sending each other TikTok's videos. Additionally, the new capabilities bring TikTok's messaging experience more in line of that of other popular social network apps and services. With voice notes, users can record and send audio messages up to 60 seconds long. The launch of the feature comes as services like WhatsApp, Instagram and Apple Messages already offer the ability to send voice notes to others via DMs. The feature is rolling out over the next few weeks, TikTok says. So here's the deal. Taylor Swift, one of the biggest artists on the planet, is releasing her new album, Life of a Showgirl, in October, and guess what? It's going to be available on cassette tape. Cassette tape. Does people actually have cassette players now? Apparently so. Cassette tapes. There you go. So now, if you're like me, you probably thought that cassette tapes was a relic, an artifact of bygone era, long surpassed by CDs and, of course, the ever-convenient streaming services. But it turns out many of us are wrong. The data tells of an interesting story. In 2023, the USA saw 436,400 cassette tapes sold. Well, that's compared to a drop in the ocean compared to the 440 million sold in the 1980s. It's a significant increase from just 80,720 cassette tapes sold in 2015. This isn't a fluke. A physical music format, including vinyls, CDs, and cassettes, actually saw a 5% rise in sales to $2 billion in 2024. So the cassette is experiencing a notable revival, even if it's not quite full-blown resurgence of vinyl.
The tape. Okay, the tape. Tape.
What tape?
The tape. Michael Jones recorded everything on the tape recorder, tapes, and the ghetto blaster.
Quite interesting. So what exactly is this magnetic tape marvels? Our sources point to a few demographics and motivations. First up, superfans are a huge driver of this trend. They are hyper-engaged music listeners who interact with their favourite artists in at least 5 different ways, from streaming to attending concerts and, yes, physically buying music like cassette tapes. They also spend a hefty $39 a month on these purchases, which is 105% more than the average fan. If that's interesting to you, these super fans are mostly Gen Z, and they're leading the charge in cassette sales. Luminate's data reveals that top 40 artists like Chapper Rowan, Sabrina Carpenter and Charlie XCX are seeing their cassette tapes driven up by this demographic. Overall, Gen Z is the largest demographic of US music listeners buying cassette tapes, with 9% making a purchase in the past year. Corey First, owner of Retrospect, also notes that a vast majority of cassette tape buyers are millennials, Gen Z and Gen Y. But why are they buying them? It boils down to the desire of different, more tangible and intimate experience. A physical connection, as Charlie Kaplan, owner of Tapehead City, puts it, people just like having something you can hold and keep, especially now when everything is just rented file on your phone. This desire for physical connection extends to seeing physical media as a form of collectible artist merchandise. Now, stop there for a minute. I think, listeners and viewers, that if that's the case, is the likes of HMV and other music shops going to make a comeback for selling these cassette tapes, CDs? Will we see the revival? I'm going to say it right now. Will we see the revival of the mini disc? I have mini discs in this drawer over here. Yeah. Oh, mini discs and the mini disc players. Or are we going to see posters come back? You know, when you used to buy a music poster, that was a collectible artist piece of merchandise. I'm going to ask a question here, listeners and viewers. Let me find my camera. What did you collect? I'm not even meaning tech. What did you collect? Do you know what I collected? Phone cards. Do you remember call cards that you used to put into the phone? Oh God, I've lost half my listeners talking about phone cards. But the physical connection is supposed to be a big piece of it. An immersive listen. Cassettes often a unique listening experience. You can't easily skip around the songs. You have to listen to the album all the way through, stopping to flip the tape halfway. This isn't about the perfect sound quality, but about the engaging music using for your senses. And many buyers, especially young generations, are looking for more opportunities to put their phone down and interact with music in a way that doesn't require streaming. So that's interesting. Well, when you go to the demographics of and the statistics that we talked earlier about in the podcast of Spotify wanting to do this whole MySpace idea and interact with other music fans, people want to put their phone down. They want to put their technology down and interact with music in a way that doesn't require streaming. It's a nice reprieve from the perfect creation of a streamed playlist and a deeper connection with music. Ultimately, fans are seeking a deeper connection to artists and their work. It's also important to note that fans aren't ditching streaming entirely. Physical media like cassettes are seen as a complementary component. While nostalgia plays a role for older buyers rebuying albums from their youth, Kaplan points out, it's not just nostalgia anymore. It's its own little sense. and a little scene with tons of music, not just reissues coming out on cassette. So Taylor Swift isn't breaking new ground here. Her re-recorded albums, 1989 Taylor's version and Speak Now Taylor's version, already sold a combined 29,000 cassette copies in 2023. But her involvement highlights a fascinating trend in our hyper-digital world. The appeal of physical, slightly imperfect and high tactile experience is very much alive, driven by a new generation of music lovers. It's a wonderful example of how human desires for connection, tangibility and unique experience can bring older technologies back into the vogue. What are your thoughts on this comeback? Let us know. Get in contact with the All Things Techie Podcast. You can visit our website, www.allthingstech.ie. You can find me, Sir Justin Dawson, on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn and Instagram at Sir Justin Dawson. This is the All Things Techie Podcast. My name is Justin Dawson, and I love if you would get in contact with the program and let me know your thoughts of any of the topics that we have covered in the program. Now, especially, we talk a lot about AI. We've been closely following the stories, often quite horrifying, of AI chatbots leading users down dangerous paths from self-harm and delusions to hospitalization, arrest, and even suicide. Experts are now using the term AI psychosis to describe some of the incidents, and for a long time these companies behind these AIs, including OpenAI, seemed slow to implement meaningful safeguards. But now it seems that OpenAI is taking action, though in a way it raises significant questions about user privacy and trust. In a recent blog post, OpenAI quietly disclosed a new policy. They are now scanning users' messages for certain types of harmful content, escalating particularly worrying content to human staff for review and in some cases reporting it to the police. So let's break down what this means. According to OpenAI, when they detect users who are planning to harm others, these conversations are routed to specialized pipelines. A small trained team reviews the content based on their usage policies and are authorized to take action, including banning accounts. Crucially, if human reviewers determine that case involves an imminent threat of serious physical harm to others, we may refer to law enforcement. Their usage policies broadly prohibit using ChatGPT to promote suicide, self-harm, develop or use weapons, injure others or destroy property, or engage in unauthorized activities that violate the security of any service or system. This is where we get a bit confusing and, dare I say, contradictory. While the state might call the authorities if you seem like you're going to hurt someone else, OpenAI explicitly acknowledged that they are currently not referring self-harm cases to law enforcement to respect people's privacy, given the uniquely private nature of ChatGPT interactions. This distinction is quite a lot to unpack. On one hand, it's a relief from that many AI conversations won't automatically trigger police wellness checks for self-harm, as these often exacerbate crisis due to the lack of mental health training among officers. However, the very mention of privacy feels bizarre when in the same breath they admit to monitoring user chats and potentially sharing them with the police for the threats. This new rule adds an additional layer of confusion because it remains unclear which exact types of chats could result in user conversations being flagged for human review, much less getting referred to the police. OpenAI's short and vague statement and their usage policies leave a lot to be desired in terms of clarity. Adding to this complexity is OpenAI's broader stance on user privacy. This new monitoring policy seems to contradict the pro-privacy position in their ongoing lawsuit in the New York Times and other publishers. In that lawsuit, publishers are seeking access to ChatGPT logs, and OpenAI has steadfastly rejected the publisher's request on grounds of protecting user privacy. In fact, last month, CEO Sam Altman admitted on a podcast that using ChatGPT as therapist or attorney doesn't confer the same confidentiality as human professional, and that due to the New York Times lawsuit, the company might be forced to turn those chats over to the courts. So it appears that OpenAI is a tough spot, stuck between a rock and a hard place. The pure blowback from users experiencing mental health crisis and even dying by suicide after interacting with ChatGPT has been appalling. Yet, because they are clearly having trouble controlling their own tech enough to protect users from harmful scenarios, they are falling back on heavy-handed moderation that flies in the face of its own CEO promises about privacy. This brings you to a crucial question for you listeners and viewers here on All Things Techie. Do you feel comfortable with this, knowing that your ChatGPT or your OpenAI could be monitoring? Knowing that your conversations with AI in many treat as a confidant or tool for personal expression are being scanned, potentially reviewed by humans, and could lead to law enforcement involvement for certain content, while like other content like self-harm is treated differently for privacy reasons. It's a complex ethical dilemma in the age of AI. Let us know what your thoughts. Get in contact with the All Things Techie podcast. We would love to hear from you today. All the details on screen. If you're watching, you can find us at Sir Justin Dawson across all my socials and also my personal website. I'm on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn and Instagram, and you can find our website at www.allthingstech.ie. There's the site right now if you're viewing us online, www.allthingstech.ie. In a week's time, we will be covering IBC, the International Broadcasting Convention 2025 in Amsterdam. The All Things Techie podcast is sponsored by PTZ Optics that will be supporting All Things Techie podcast over at IBC in Amsterdam. You can also go onto our website where you can find this episode and all previous 121 episodes. Look at that beautiful website, www.allthingstech.ie. This is the All Things Techie podcast. I am your host, Justin Dawson, and today we're tackling a massive question that has been bubbling up as regulators globally clamp down on the likes of Apple and other tech giants. With the increasing scrutiny and tough new laws, particularly out of the EU and or even in Ireland, will we see a significant return of tech companies to the USA, moving away from hubs like Ireland or even England? This question comes into sharp focus with recent developments, specifically Apple's strong warning to the UK regarding its proposed EU-style rules. Apple has openly stating that these regulations intending to foster competition are not just bad for users and bad for developers, but also risk replicating what they see as the negative outcomes of EU laws. According to Apple, EU tech competition laws such as the Digital Markets Act or the DMA have already led to some of its features and enhancements being delayed for European users. Not only that, Apple has faced big fines for breaching the DMA. They argue that these rules force them to effectively give away our technology for free to foreign competitors and undermine the privacy and security users expect. For instance, Apple claims that under EU interoperability rules, it has received over 100 requests, some from major tech rivals, demanding access to sensitive user data and intellectual property. The UK's Competition and Markets Authority is proposing a similar changes aiming to open up markets they believe too dominated by Apple and Google in an effective duopoly of the UK mobile device market. The CMA wants to require Apple and Google to allow app makers to steer users to alternative payment systems outside of their app stores and ensure interoperability of certain Apple tech like digital wallets and watches for UK developers. Whilst the CMA insists that UK competition rules are fundamentally different from the EU's and are designed to help UK business innovate without undermining privacy or security, Apple clearly sees a significant risk of similar negative impacts. Adding another layer to its complex picture, we have also heard strong political statements from figures like Donald Trump sharply criticised international tech regulation, attacking rules he claimed were designed to harm or discriminate against American technology. He went as far as to demand nations show respect to America and our amazing tech companies, or consider the consequences, threatening tariffs and restrictions on access to US technology if discriminatory discriminatory actions like digital taxes or regulations weren't removed. This type of stance clearly signals a desire to protect and perhaps even repatriate American tech interests. So when we look at the mounting pressure from significant fines levied under EU laws, from the prospect of a new EU-style regulations in the UK, and the strong political rhetoric from the US advocating for the American technology, it raises really crucial question. Are those regulatory environments with their emphasis on opening up platforms and imposing fines, making places like Ireland and the UK less attractive for big tech companies to base and expand their operations? Could this pressure ultimately intensify a shift with more tech giants looking to consolidate operations back to the USA, where political and regulatory landscape might be perceived as the more favourable? It's a huge strategic decision for these companies, balancing access to diverse markets with the cost of and complexity of compliance. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Is a tech exodus from Europe a real possibility, or just a negotiation tactic in a battle over the market control? Let us know. Get in contact with the All Things Techie Podcast. The details are on your screen. You can follow me on social, Sir Justin Dawson, and visit our official website for All Things Techie Podcast at www.allthingstech.ie. Now, this is an interesting story, and one that interested me, and I'm sure it's going to be a topic of conversation at IBC in a week's time on the 12th of September. YouTube was secretly using AI to edit people's videos without their knowledge or permission. This isn't a minor tech glitch. It raises a profound ethical question. Was YouTube ethically out of line for adjusting people's videos without their permission? Let's break down what happened. Popular music YouTuber Rick Beato, with over 5 million subscribers, noticed something was off with his appearance in his recent video, thinking, my hair looks a bit strange, and almost seemed like he was wearing makeup. He initially wondered if he was imagining things, but it turns out he wasn't. YouTube has been secretly or using artificial intelligence or AI to tweak videos, making more subtle changes like making wrinkles in shirts more defined, sharpening skin and making areas look smoothing in others, and even causing ears to warp. While these changes are often small, barely visible without a side-by-side comparison, some disturbed YouTubers like Rhett found it gave their content an unwelcome AI-generated feeling. Now, to be quite honest, I'm staring at the camera right now and reading my script. And YouTube, if you want to give me some hair back on the top of my head, I won't mind. In fact, let's go to the overhead camera. Yeah, if you want to fill in my bald spots there, YouTube, I won't mind. Yeah, you can go ahead. So giving a more AI-generated feel. Now, do you know what? I read this and I just go, you're using a platform which is free of charge to host your videos. So do I really care if they take away some of my wrinkles and fix my hair up and, pack in my ears or something like that? Not really. If it's improving the image, is it a bad thing? Rhett, a friend of Beto's, was equally upset, saying, if I wanted this terrible over-sharpening, I've done it myself. Well, yes, and I can understand that. Like, videographers will want you to videographers will have edit their video in a certain way. Influencers would do their thing, and I would have several cameras, as I'm showing you at the moment, in my studio to do things and edit away. But the bigger thing, it looks like an AI generator. I think it deeply misrepresents me and what I do and my voice on the internet, said Rhett Shull. It could potentially erode the trust I have with the audience in a small way. It just bothers me. After a month of speculation and complaints on social media, YouTube finally confirmed it is running an experiment on a limited number of videos in YouTube Shorts. Renee Ritchie, YouTube's head of editorial and creator liaison, explained that they're using a traditional machine learning technology to unblur, denoise and improve clarity in videos during processing, comparing it to what is a modern smartphone does when they record a video. YouTube also stated it is working on ways to provide the best video quality and experience possible. So let's get to our core question: was YouTube ethically out of line? On one side, including experts strongly argue yes, YouTube was ethically out of line. The lack of content and transparency. The most prominent point is that YouTube did these AI enhancements without telling users or asking permission. Now, to be quite honest, I actually do agree with that they did do these editorials on videos without permission. And it comes back to the question, who owns the content when it goes up to a streaming site like YouTube? Samuel Woolley, chair of disinformation studies at the University of Pittsburgh, highlights this crucial difference. You can make decisions about what you want on your phone to do and whether to turn on certain features. And this is the thing. YouTube should have offered this as an extra service. They could have actually charged for this extra service, or got influencers and tech people on YouTube to go, would you try this better version of YouTube? Or beta version, whichever way, tomato you want to say. Would they offer this as an extra additional package and say, can you try this out and let us know what you think of us fixing it up? Like, Google have its own phones. So, like, they have these type of features where you can edit people out. Like, you take a photo on a smartphone now. You can edit out people in the background. You can blur the backgrounds and do so forth on Android operating systems. So why did YouTube secretly do this is a question. We have here a company that's manipulating content from leading users then has been distributed to public audience without the consent of people who produce these videos. YouTube did not respond to the BBC's questions on whether users will be given a choice about these AI tweaks. Erosion of trust and misrepresentation, as Rachel articulated, this secret alteration can deeply misrepresent the creator and their voice, potentially eroding the trust that they have with the audience that they have built up. And I have to agree with that. It's obscuring AI use. Woolley also believes that YouTube's use of term machine learning rather than AI is an attempt to obscure the fact that they used AI because of concerns surrounding the technology. He argues that differentiating between traditional machine learning and generative AI isn't a meaningful distinction of this context, and it's eroding the connection to reality. And you know what? You look at all these AI video editors where you can, like, I've seen a video editor only recently this week, listeners, where they actually you are able to drag in a graphic. So let's say an ice cream. I'm holding my hand up onto the camera right now, and you drag and drop. You could put an ice cream in my hand, but just by dragging and dropping. Some of the AI technology is out of this world, and it's eroding the connection to reality. More broadly, experts like Jill Walker-Retberg, a professor at the Center for Digital Narrative, said that with algorithms and AI, what does this do to our relationship with reality? This move reveals the ways in which AI is increasingly a medium that defines our lives and realities. While we've seen similar hand-wringing over Photoshop or beauty filters in the past, Woolley says AI puts these trends on steroids. However, there's another perspective to consider. YouTube's intent for quality is one way, creator loyalty. Do you call it creator loyalty? Interesting, Rick Beato, despite noticing these changes, expressed a very positive view of the YouTube platform. You know, YouTube is constantly working on new tools and experimenting with new stuff. And they are. Like, Google is constantly doing that. This isn't an isolated incident either. We've seen similar controversies like Nightmarish Mess or of apparent AI remasters of 80s sitcoms on Netflix, Samsung's artificially enhancing moon photos, and Google Pixel's phones using AI to fix smiles or enable extreme zoom far from beyond what the camera is physically able to capture. While some new devices like the Pixel 10 are implementing content credentials to watermark AI-edited images, the underlying issue of the hidden algorithmic alteration remains. Ultimately, the situation forces us to confront a growing trend, AI increasingly mediating our reality, even often without our explicit knowledge. While YouTube might have intended to simply improve video quality, the lack of transparency and content has sparked a significant ethical debate about who controls our content and what we can truly do online. Let us know what your thoughts is. Get in contact with the All Things Techie podcast. If you are listening, you can visit our website, www.allthingstech.ie. We are on all the socials, or I'm on all the socials, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn and Instagram. You can find me, Sir Justin Dawson, and my personal website is sirjustindawson.com. That is all we have time for in this episode of All Things Techie Podcast, episode 122 of the podcast. I thank you for tuning in. You can find this and all previous episodes of the All Things Techie Podcast at www.allthingstech.ie. We're going to be talking about different tech shows that's coming up in this month, and also in October in Dublin, Ireland, and we also have some surprises coming up in January 2026, please God. Thank you for tuning in, thank you for viewing, thank you for listening, and I'll see you at the next episode. Goodbye.
Thank you for tuning in to All Things Techie Podcast, part of the Extreme Media Network. Follow us on Twitter at AVTechJunkies. Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch our show on YouTube by visiting youtube.com/@Justin_or_Dawson. Previous episodes of our show can be found on our official site, www.allthingstech.ie. For advertising and sponsorship opportunities, please visit www.extrememedia.ie.